Adrian Hernandez is a premier voice in modern sports media and wrestling journalism. As an anchor and host of the Unlikely podcast, Adrian has carved out a massive footprint by blending mainstream broadcasting professionalism with the raw passion of wrestling fandom. From breaking news to delivering high-profile interviews with the industry's biggest stars, Adrian is where the culture of professional wrestling meets elite-tier commentary. Had a chance to sit down with Adrian on this episode of One-on-One with Sylvia The Siren.
Hey, it's Adrian Hernandez of Unlikely, and I'm tuned in with Sylvia The Siren, baby.
All right, we're going to kick off. This is One-on-One with Sylvia The Siren, and I got Adrian Hernandez in the building. What's going on, man?
Hey, how we feeling? Thank you for having me on. I'm excited because I'm usually the one asking questions. I don't do a lot of interviews where I'm the interviewee, and I don't do a lot of podcasts, but we have to make exceptions in life. So I'm glad I made it today. So what's popping? How are you?
I appreciate it. I'm doing well. Just been the beginning of the week. Was a boring weekend. Nothing much going on this past weekend, but other than that, I'm here. It's funny. I was just going to ask you, how have you been and how has your mental been this past week?
Honestly, it's been nice. Today was a little weird, right? But it's been nice. If you see my hat, you see the C. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and this C is for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And this weekend, there was a lot of celebrating 2016 in Cleveland sports. That was the year that the Cavs won the championship. The Guardians, used to be called the Indians, went to the World Series versus the Cubs. Like, it was like a TBT weekend. But in that TBT-ness, the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons. They're going to face the Knicks to go to the NBA. Whoever wins that matchup between the Knicks and New York, go to the NBA Finals. My baby mama and her family are from New York, so I'm knee deep in the Civil War right now, trying to get my 7-year-old to be on my side. So all this stuff, all this sports nonsense, is taking up a lot of the headspace, which is a good place to be, because when it's meaningless stuff that don't matter in this crazy world, like, I'm all with it. So it's been a good week, a good nostalgia week, getting into the groove with basketball and stuff. But overall, pretty good. And thank you for asking, because we don't talk about our mentals enough. So thank you.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I definitely, when I do my one-on-ones, I got to kick off with that question first, like, seriously. But speaking of the Cavaliers, is Lonzo Ball still playing for them?
Honestly, I think he was out for the season, right? Hold on, let me Google it right now. He got super hurt. And I think he's just been out for the season, which has been unfortunate. Yeah, he's still on the is he still on the team? Listen, he ain't been on the court for a minute. Yeah, I think he got hurt really early on in the season. So
he stays with an injury, because I remember, a while back when he got traded from the Bulls and went to the Cavaliers, I was like, oh, snap. So now that I know that you're a fan, I had to ask that. I was like, is Lonzo Ball still playing, or is he decided to pick up and do music at this point? So
I mean, the whole family should. I mean, you always got to get side hustles in 2026, right? So he only played about 2 weeks, and he's been on the sidelines, but we pulling through regardless. So.
Absolutely. You said your child's mother is from New York too? What part?
Yeah, NYC. She from what is it? Was it Poughkeepsie? Is it Westchester? She on the outside. She ain't in the boroughs. As much as they want to say, you feel me? You know what I mean? They're not really. You know what I'm saying? It's a train ride away. It's about 45 minutes. So I'm pretty sure it's Westchester. I need to be careful because she's downstairs. So she might pop up and interrupt the interview. But no, I believe it's Westchester, and they're all Knicks fans, and good for them. This is a huge opportunity. Team ain't won the title in 50 years. Yeah. I get it. You know what I'm saying? The Cavs, we've been to the finals like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 times since 2016, 2015. So, but it's going to be a fun little civil war for these next 2 weeks. We'll see, because I think the Knicks are going to win the series, but go Cavs regardless.
I think so too, but the Knicks, their fan base is crazy. Like,
they're the most insufferable losers in the NBA. They're one of the top fan bases in all of sports. They are the worst fan base in the NBA. Worse than the Sacramento Kings. What are other teams that haven't won? Or Charlotte, like, nobody touches them, regardless of whether they've won or not. It's like they're the worst, bro. Act like you've been there before, but they haven't been there before. But they've been there before in other sports. So it's hella weird. They jump and harass fans of the other team outside of like that's corny. They're all trying to do it for the Instagram. Like all that stuff is corny, and we'll see. They better win. That's all
They
I'm
better
saying.
win doing all of that for sure.
If they don't win, I'm gonna get banned from Instagram. That I'm
Don't
just
we?
saying it right now.
No. We need you on Instagram, Adrian. We need you on
And it ain't
Instagram.
gonna be for taking WWE's clips. I'm gonna be banned for a completely separate reason. If the
Listen.
Cavs beat the Knicks, oh, you ain't gonna hear the last of it. I promise you.
Oh, I'm gonna harass you that day. I'm gonna definitely harass you that day. Seriously. But I want to jump in and ask my first question for you. So you've been interviewing big names in the sports industry and entertainment, and I know you have a deep love for professional wrestling like myself. So what are some earliest wrestling memories that caught you to love like wrestling? Like what made you become a wrestling fan? And what superstar is like your all-time favorite, like your GOAT?
So my goat, for a multitude of reasons, not just like watching wrestling. I'm gonna have to go with The Rock. Probably the number one reason is his impact on how I I just acted in public and with others. And what I mean by that is always being a bigger guy,
Mhm.
learning the gift of the gab and learning how to use my mouth. Pause. I learned how to talk trash and how to just go bar to bar with people through The Rock. So just using some of his mannerisms and the things that he would do, salute to that. But when it comes to earliest memories, SmackDown on UPN and WrestleMania 17, Undertaker versus Triple H, when Undertaker choke slammed Triple H off of like the camera bay thing that they had set up onto a whole bunch of mattresses that back in the
Yeah.
day I thought was the cement. That looking back at it now, I was like, that's just 5 mats they just put. It is what it is. Those are some of my earliest memories. But then growing up, I feel like for a lot of people, middle school, high school, you I dipped out of wrestling, and by
Mhm.
chance and by accident, I watched the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25. That brought me back into being interested into wrestling because when Eddie Guerrero died, like the Eddie Benoit, that time period when The Rock left, when like Brock Lesnar was becoming the guy, that period I kind of dipped out of it. But the Undertaker Michaels at WrestleMania 25 got me in, and then learning about CM Punk and like the behind the scenes and the internet of it all. And like, oh, the stuff that's happening off camera is much more interesting than anything happening on camera. That's what kind of got me hooked for life. Since what 2009, 2010, like around that time period, and we've been down with it ever since for the most part.
Okay, 2009, 2010. I was a senior, I believe, or just starting college in 2009, 10 era. So, yeah. So, at what point did you realize you wanted to merge your passion for wrestling with your professional skills in sports broadcasting and radio?
Well, I don't. I'll say this.
Hmm.
I have always wanted to be in the radio since I was a little kid. That was my dream. Specifically sports radio, and then I've done music, mainly hip hop radio, and I learned very on in that process, getting the first opportunities with college radio and things like that. Is I love to have conversations with people, all different types of people, and luckily for me, when it comes to wrestling, no matter what company, kind of similar to comedians, comedians and wrestlers are more apt to do media to promote whatever show they got,
Yeah.
in whatever city that they're in. Especially now these days, where like music artists don't necessarily need to do that because they have such a great connection with social media directly to their people. So, long story short, always down to talk to whoever. Was just fortunate that wrestlers were more apt to do interviews than people in other industries and other forms of entertainment, to promote their stuff. So whenever there was a chance to get to talk to a professional wrestler, I'd always, hey, let me do it. Let me do it. No, please, please. And just because I enjoyed it so much, and there was just certain things that I always wanted to know. And just like I'm so thankful. I got to talk to Shawn Michaels 2 months ago, and I just brought up that WrestleMania match. I didn't know that that match was only supposed to be 15 minutes. So getting to ask him
Mhm.
about it and being like, wait a minute, what? And he's like, yeah, we didn't like that much. And that's why we went as long as we did. We also wanted to be the main event and we weren't because it was Triple H versus Randy Orton. So getting to know all that stuff like means the world to me. And it's interesting because sometimes I feel bad, but a lot of questions that I ask, I don't do it. I don't do it to get a headline. I don't do it so that people can learn stuff. It's like I want to know for good or worse.
Yes.
And I'm so thankful that it's worked out for me. But I was like, these are things that I've wanted to know. So I'm going to ask it because I don't know if I'm ever going to get this opportunity again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. So me and you got a similarity in common. I'm from radio too. I was iHeart Radio. I was with them for about 5 years. I was a midday girl, and all we discussed was like hip hop and stuff that's going on the shade room.
Mm-hmm.
So once COVID happened, got furloughed, then I went to another radio station, and I was just like, you know what, I need to switch it up. And being a wrestling fan was like a hidden secret that I never
Mm-hmm.
like nobody knew about. So that's when I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go back into radio or do something, it's going to be something different that I'm going to differentiate myself with, what is already the norm when it comes to radio. So that's why I tapped back into like wrestling and was like, I got to do content because I'm so passionate about this. So that's really dope. So when you do your interviews with the superstars and you said like you don't want to catch like a headline or anything like that, how does it feel even with you not trying to like, you know what I'm saying, get like with the lack of words is rage bait or trying to meet the headlines? How does it feel when you get to the headlines and you're not even trying to? Like, what's your thought process on how you feel when it hits the headlines?
I don't mean to be contradictory to what I just said. Number one, I'm extremely thankful.
Yes.
Because there's a million different options for entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
like any form of entertainment, let alone the million options that you have to watch any sort of wrestling interviewer, wrestling content, reactions, whatever the case may be. So there's thousands of options. So to be able to pick up some of the headlines is I'm thankful for that. And then as much as I don't try to, it's a constant battle. I'll say that
Right.
of, hey, this is what I wanted. This is what I want to know. This is something that needs to be asked, and I feel like I can handle that responsibility. Saying handle that responsibility, like it's again, we're talking about wrestling. It's not the end of the
Yeah.
world, but I think that there's a certain level of tact and a certain level, just a way that you can present asking things to people. And I try to do my best. So, for instance, when I talked to AJ Francis about Swerve Strickland going on Vlad TV, I tried to handle that the best way I could. Tried to just ask the question and not lean towards AJ, not lean towards Swerve.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like, no disrespect to any other wrestling interviewers, not that I'm a proponent of Vlad, and I didn't watch that interview with Swerve, and
Yeah.
that's if I'm getting specific with that situation, that's kind of one of the regrets that I kind of battle back and forth. Because on
Okay.
one hand, I was like, I should have watched that because that's so that I know what Swerve said. But on the second hand, I don't support what Vlad does, so I'm not going to watch that. So it was one of
Good.
those things, but there's not many people in the wrestling space, and I'm so glad that there's more and more every day. But your big name people, no disrespect to CVV or some of these other folks, I,
Yes.
I I don't think they're tuned into what's going on with Vlad or kind of get some of the things going on in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Um, talked to Kyle Fletcher, asked him about the whole incident with Adam Cole, and there was some. He had made a comment about All In Texas that kind of
Mm-hmm.
referred to Adam, but not directly, and there was a lot of negative things being said because he didn't mention Adam. Getting to talk to him about, hey, do you want to clear the air, and just getting some of those opportunities. So just it's a 50-50 split of, hey, I want to have a good conversation. I'm going to ask things that I'm interested in. I don't try to make things all wrestling. But if there's some things that are there, trying to get to them in a genuine way, and
Yeah.
in a decent way. And with the headlines, super fortunate. Like WrestleMania, this past WrestleMania that happened, the media junket. Media junkets are crazy, meaning that you only get like 1 or 2 minutes with the superstars,
Yep.
and they're talking to 50 different people that day. And out of all the interviews that I did, maybe 1 or 2 didn't get some headline of some sort, and
Yeah.
that's a difficult thing. There's no room to like, how you doing, pal? Everything's good. What's going on in life? No, you got 60 seconds. You got 2 minutes. So to be able to effectively do that stuff, I was very proud of. And I'm just glad that some people listen, and if they make content out of it or make news headlines or whatever, appreciative. If they don't, we keep pushing.
Yeah, for sure. I was impressed because I was seeing a lot of your clips from WrestleMania weekend, and I was just like, oh, wow. And I know that has to be a lot because you're on the timing. Because when I do my interviews with the superstars, they give us a time and they always like, okay, last question, wrap it up, wrap it up. So
Yeah.
I know that has to be hard when you're doing it like, on the red carpet and getting ready for the show to pop off. And it's just like, okay, you got this and that. It's just hard. But I do want to tap into Unlikely with Adrian Hernandez, which is you, and you built an incredible platform. Yes. And it's crazy because like that's how I first got to know who you were, was that your YouTube. And I was watching, I believe it was Carmelo Hayes' interview, if I'm not mistaken, and Lash, you I believe was one of the first that did Lash Legends interview, if I'm
Yeah,
not
we've been a
mistaken.
couple. Lucky enough to talk to her a few times this past like year and a half,
Yeah,
which
I
is
want to tell
super
you a little
dope.
secret. I want to tell you a little secret behind your interview with Lash because I had an interview with Lash coming up. So, like, I was doing some show prep. And I was like, let me see if she did some recent interviews. And yours came up, and I kid you not, I had watched it, and it was really dope. And I was like, okay, yeah, definitely. I said
Thank
I gotta
you.
yeah, I said I gotta connect with him in the future for sure. And on your platform, what was the core motivation behind creating this specific show? And why did the name Unlikely feel like the perfect fit for your journey?
So the reason why I created it was because I felt like I needed, outside of the YouTube channel, I wanted somewhere where people could listen to it and not
Yeah.
just like put it on YouTube and like let it be. Is like, no, if you want to put it on Apple, you want to go to Spotify, you want to tell Alexa to turn on Unlikely with Adrian Hernandez, whichever one should be doing. Any house they walk into, by the way, just blurt that out. Um, but I just wanted an audio only component, a podcast component. And I was like, I'll throw in my old interviews, and everything going forward from that moment. And so I was like, okay, that's what we'll do. We'll use this, and if there's things that I want to say, outside of just the interviews itself, like that could be a home for it, or it doesn't necessarily need to be a video, or it can be both, or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be. So I was like, okay, we need to start. We need to have an official podcast. Let's just do it. I believe it was at the beginning of 2024, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2023, but I think it was 2024. And then the name, I loved the concept of it being one or two words, something quick, something just something short. And then the name Unlikely, I take a lot of pride in because it fits it fits the story of me, in my opinion.
Okay.
I told you that when I was growing up, I always knew since I was a little kid that I wanted to be in the radio, which meant that a lot of things in school I did not give a fuck about. So I barely graduated high school. I went to community college. I failed all my classes the first 2 semesters, lost all my financial aid in the Pell Grant because I didn't understand that that's how that worked. I didn't understand why they gave me all this money
Right.
by myself in Tampa, Florida. Are you crazy? And like that whole concept. So doing that and like starting at zero and having to work 3 or 4 jobs and getting a college radio show and not being a DJ. I told you I did a lot of hip hop music. I'm not a DJ. I make sure to tell people no, I just talk on a microphone. So doing a music show, using not Audition, what's the free joint? I can't think of the free joint that has like a couple options to edit stuff if you wanted to, and using that.
Adobe
No, not
uh,
Adobe Audition. It's the one that
audition. Okay.
whatever it is, case may be, editing music, doing all this
Yeah.
stuff off of the school of YouTube. Even to this day, when it comes to editing and the camera and these lights and all this stuff, like it's all YouTube University. And going from failing all those classes to making honor roll in one of them, and graduating, it just it seemed like an unlikely story. One of the first big interviews I did was Undertaker. If you go on the TikTok, if you go on the comments, whether TikTok,
Okay.
Instagram, YouTube, like people will say it's fake because they're like, how did this person with 3,000 Instagram followers at the time, or just YouTube subscribers, get to talk to The Undertaker? This was before his podcast had started. This was when
Mhm.
he's talked to Chris Van Fleet, Tony Hawk, Joe Rogan, CNN, ESPN, and then who the fuck is Adrian Hernandez? So all these different things, I was like, that story is unlikely. And getting to talk to some of these people, I talked to Kit Wilson, and
Mhm.
it was really cool because I'm like, hey, bro, the name of the show is Unlikely. 7 months ago, you being in the ring with John Cena at WrestleMania would be hella unlikely. And so it fits the mold when you get certain people that fit that mold, rather. It's just cool and a good connection point. And I also think it's cool for someone watching, like right now. If you're like, hey, should I do this or not? Be like, hey, if it works for me, can work for anyone. So I just
Yeah.
it sticks with the mentality. I'm from Cleveland. We're underdogs. We're unlikely. It just all of it seems to go in together. So that's why unlikely's here and unlikely forever, like I like to say. So there it is.
I love that. I love that. So, as a host, all right, what has been the biggest difference or challenge in transitioning from traditional sports, entertainment reporting to running your own podcast and brand? Like,
The do-it-yourselfness of it. You gotta do
yeah.
everything. Send out the tweets, do the news updates, do the edits. I'm about to start trying to learn Photoshop
Mhm.
for the graphics. Learning how to use the camera, how to do it right, doing all of this. I'm gonna listen. I'm the guest here, right? Let me brag a little bit.
Go
It was
ahead.
cool
Yes.
at the WrestleMania junket. TMZ folks were here. They were there, and they
Mhm.
like stopped me, and they're like, "Hold on, where's the rest of your team?" I was like, "Right here. Hey, hi." He's like, "You do all this shit by yourself?" I was like, "Yeah, man." For the most part. Sometimes I use some of the funds that we get to get an editor, no, a graphic designer for
Yeah.
YouTube. Praying for the day we get a video editor to just take the time off. But it's a lot of time to cut clips, to cut reels, do the captions, make sure everything's right, get the thumbnail. Like it's a whole process and a whole grind. So it's very time consuming and even today. So today, right now, as we're recording this, I haven't
Okay.
posted a reel out of the past 4 days. I've only posted
Okay.
one reel. This is the first time that I haven't posted a reel. So I haven't posted a reel, by the way, in 3 days.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm confusing the numbers, but this
No,
little
you're
break
good.
that I'm taking, my point is, I haven't not posted a reel in before Thanksgiving, and then I haven't not posted like within 2 or 3 days, like I've done now, and
Mhm.
I can't tell you how long. It's been at least 2 to 3 years. So it's just funny how I'm noticing like there's an immense guilt.
Mhm.
Partially there's an immense guilt, and the other half is like, no, you're okay because you know when you come back, like you got fire tucked away. But
Yeah.
that's like a real thing of like even when I do post once a day, there's people that are we compare ourselves to everybody, right? We don't compare ourselves to people we view likewise. So when ESPN posts 15 different posts, you're like, well, that's what I got to do, and that's a whole network of people working over there doing what they
Right.
so like it's a tough balancing act. But yeah, it's time consuming and it's a grind, which is why I've heard there's been a lot of talk about content creators and things like that, especially with the YouTube strikes and stuff like that. And I know
Mhm.
Wheezy Blonde got into TikTok hates her apparently, and
Yeah.
because one of the reasons why she's like, hey, first off, are you passionate about it? Because if you're not passionate about it, then you're not going to do all the things that are necessary. If you're doing this so that you can take a screenshot or make your Instagram look good or think this is
Mhm.
going to get you a whole lot of money and all that stuff, like that's not the case for 90% of the people. So first you have to do it out of love. And that's and the reaction was like, and that's why a lot of people don't do what certain people do because they don't have that, so they don't understand. They just get mad because someone gave them the truth about that. So yeah, it's very time consuming to answer your question, long winded.
No, that wasn't long with it. You're definitely right. And shout out to Weezy Blonde. She was on the channel with me too as well. We did a one-on-one, and I saw the disgusting stuff that happened on TikTok, and I reached out to her and just sent her like a TikTok and like tell her to keep her head up because I knew exactly what she was talking about. I just think that what they would a lot of other creators or a lot of fans, whatever you want to call them. I just think they took what she said out of context. But I do agree with you and I do agree with her that if you're going to do this, be passionate about it. I didn't understand why a word like saturated, like just had this big kerfuffle of her being rude, this and that, all kind of names, but she was spot on for what she was saying. And I agree with what you just said now. And it's funny because my next question is going to be me asking you about like wrestling journalism and content creation. With it being very unique place right now, in your eyes, what are the current highs and what are the current lows or frustrations you see in the current culture of wrestling reporting?
Um, I don't even. It's a difficult. That's a weird question for me to answer because
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. I just think the lows are. It's not specific to wrestling. Like there's a lot of BS everywhere, and there's infrastructures in place in certain platforms or in all platforms that some of that stuff thrives. Whether it's people taking content from others, not crediting it, taking like they'll take a WWE clip, but then they'll put their at on it and they'll talk about this is my content. And it's like, no, you took what WWE like you took the Monday Night Raw clip and you put your name on it. That doesn't make it yours.
Right.
And the aggregation, like I feel so bad for the reporters, the Sean Ross Sapps, the Corey Hayeses who will post something on Patreon to their paying subscribers, and then like 30 seconds later, that news will then get posted by 50 million different people trying to do the same thing, trying to get some traction off of their reporting and relationships. And that happens, it happens in every form of entertainment, in every landscape and politics and just news of any sort for anything that anyone cares about to make it news. So that's a frustration for me. Obviously, I am very sensitive to people taking my clips and using. I mean, even this past weekend, I didn't realize it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But someone took an Ilya Dragunov. I interviewed Ilya Dragunov a couple weeks ago during WrestleMania weekend, and
Yeah.
someone took his photo and he was holding the microphone with Unlikely on it and the logo and the brand right there, and they cropped it so that the Unlikely wasn't on there, so that in their article it just shows Ilya. And I'm like,
Right.
that's so unnecessary and corny, and I fucking hate it. And
Yes.
that's a constant battle. Like I couldn't imagine. I've had conversations with Chris Van Fleet about this. And he kind
Mm-hmm.
of tells me to take the approach of just appreciate that your stuff is being sent out. And I understand that angle as well. But I feel like I'm kind of completely on the other side of it. And
Right.
it's just a constant battle. Um, and then I, there's a lot of people that like the journalism versus content creator thing. And listen, man, we are all in the same.
Boat.
We're all in the same boat. Yeah, right. And so you better figure it out. And no matter what you're doing in life, and now more than ever, you better be Inspector Gadget. As my son walks in, Papa, go, Papa, go. Thank you, sire. Go. Um,
You good.
He no, you gotta be an Inspector Gadget and you gotta know how to do everything. So whether you
Yeah.
think you're a content creator, like you gotta know how to do stuff on that side and vice versa. And that's the only way to
Mm-hmm.
thrive. So I don't want to say anything is strictly
Mm-hmm.
negative towards wrestling. I just feel like these are the same things that if we were talking about hip hop, if we were talking
Yes.
about the Marvel news, movie news, like all these
Yeah.
different subcultures, you would still get that for one way or another.
Absolutely. It's all one umbrella. It's entertainment. So yeah. And it's funny. I was gonna ask you your advice as far as with the clipping and then them, people who clip your content and don't want to, credit you. I had something similar happen to me too. It was the Nia Jax interview, and I saw somebody clip a part of my interview with her and my team, and they didn't even credit like my team at all. And I left a comment. I was like, listen, I don't have a problem with you sharing, but like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta like credit us or something. And I just hate sometimes doing that because it's like we're being perceived as if like we're being snotty or thinking we're better because we have these certain opportunities. But I get what, you getting your advice from Van Vliet. I get it, but I'm with you on that part too as well, because it's like some people do it for the clickbaits, and I don't like that at all, because I was just going to ask you, have you ever had any of your content clipped by somebody and then you wasn't ever credited? And I was just going to ask you your advice about that, and you gave it to me, but
No, yeah, it's happened thousands of times. Don't feel
yeah.
bad about that. Listen, I go a step further. Sometimes I just go straight to the copyright claim and file the copyright if you're gonna post my stuff. And
Yeah.
I've now at this point, um, for better or for worse, like I've told specific entities, I've told Sportskeeda, do not cover my rest, like anything from my interviews, do not cover. Don't make a graphic, don't talk about it, it don't exist. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't want to sound ungrateful because I
Right.
did bring up how thankful I am for the coverage.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, doing my analytics and looking where my views are coming from and where that stuff is coming from, it's to say that it's not a big portion, a big chunk of people that, for instance, if Fightful covers my interview and
Right.
makes an article about it, not that many people are going to read the article from Fightful and then click on the interview if they have
Mhm.
no idea who I am.
Mhm.
That's not to say that I'm not looking forward to the coverage and stuff like that. It's to say that I'm not going to sacrifice viewership um, to let you just take it without crediting, tagging, um, blurring out the logo. It's the reason why I
Yeah.
have my logo on my videos 3 or 4 times. I personally hate it. I wish I could just have it all natural and just like have it as is. But there's
Yeah.
certain things that I need to do um, in place because I'm an independent entity. There is no backing, no infrastructure
Yeah.
um, to help support what we do. So out of respect for the time and the things that I do, and respect and time that I get from the people that I'm talking to,
Yeah.
I need to protect minds for better or for worse. And again, I'm going to repeat: do not feel bad. Put the copyright if you don't feel like talking. Like I'm not arguing with you. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Like either
Yeah.
take it down or that's what's going to happen, and that's that.
No, I agree with you, because when I saw that on TikTok, I was like, wait a second. And it's crazy because I was just going through, scrolling, and I saw that and I was just like, yo, what is this?
That's not my page. And now
It-
my favorite thing too is I'll go under the tweet and be like, "Whoa, this clip's amazing. Do you have a link to this interview? To like, can I watch this whole thing?" And but they won't realize it until
Who
afterwards.
is you?
They'll
Right.
just be like, "He's dumbass." Like, nah, that's flagrant.
I'm gonna have to
So
steal that from you. I'm definitely gonna
no,
have to steal
do
that
it,
from you.
do it.
Yeah. Do you know what the link is? It's just crazy because yeah, we taking our time interviewing the superstars. We on a time base, and then taking these interviews and having to edit it. I'm grateful that I do have. We was off screen. That's my husband. He does a lot of the logistics for me, but the time that he puts into all of this is just like you're not going to. Yeah, you're not going to do that. And that's why I feel you, because you like you say you're a one man show. You ever thought about in the future that you want to add like an assistant or you know build a team?
Yes, I would love to hire an editor. I have a good relationship with a graphic designer who's really
Okay.
solid. So there's a couple different people. I would love to get a
Yeah.
camera person, someone for events and stuff. It just needs to line up financially, which we're getting there slowly but surely. We are getting there. So in the future, it isn't because of not wanting to of not wanting to, this not being able to. And there's been certain instances where I've been able to scrap up enough coin to make it work. I've been thankful to work with Danielle Flores, who's DTF Mania, who's one of the best fucking photographers in all of wrestling. DTF Mania on Twitter and Instagram and all that. Go look at all her pictures. She
Okay.
absolutely killed WrestleMania because she was ramp side. She's in Orlando. She goes to NXT a lot. She's one of the absolute best. She is the best in my opinion, but she's one of the
Oh, I gotta
absolute
check her
best.
out.
Yeah, DTF Mania. And so I've been able to do a couple events with her, which is just like a confidence boost because when you got the best in the business with you, it
Yes.
just makes things look more thorough. Because I try to be as good as I can with presentation. I think presentation is key, in my opinion. So just trying to always get the good lens and the good camera and the good angle and lighting and all that
Yep.
stuff. And I'm still learning and I'm not the best at it, but it's something that I strive to do. So whenever I'm able to, and try to save up and try to make things work. We've been blessed and fortunate for the opportunities that we've had to work with others. But yes, a team is definitely in the future. And I need to flip this around real quick too. So
What's up?
your husband deals with the editing and all that stuff?
Yes, he does. He does with the editing. This platform, Sylvia the Siren, this platform, I gotta give it to my husband. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
So has your husband ever, and it's funny because he's behind the scenes right now, right?
Yes, he is.
He's dying to get into this interview. No, but I want to ask you. So,
Go
like,
ahead, ask me.
okay, when you decide, like, hey, you're making content, right? And
Mhm.
so, did you ask him for help, or he was like, "Nah, babe, I got you."
I asked him for help. So the
Uh huh.
thing, how I do my one-on-ones, me and him will, I will do the show prep and then he will revise it. And then I don't sit in on the editing at all because he'd be like, I got it, I got it, I got it. And then
Have
when I
you
try to
asked?
look, I have, and he'll be like, no. And then there's been times
Okay.
where there's been times I would sit and just watch him. He's like, stop, stop. Because he be wanting me to have shock value, shock factor. And I just be like, I be
I
wanting to
hear
see what's
that. I hear
going
the angle.
on.
The only reason I ask is because the mother of my kid has been wanting to do content, and she
Yes.
doesn't she doesn't want to she doesn't want to take the time out to edit and do these things. And I'm like, yo, I had to do all this stuff through YouTube, and you can do the same thing. You're smarter than me, and so I refuse to help until she does. And I guess that's the difference of why that's my baby mama and why you guys are happily married. So I was just curious and trying to get that type of
No
info.
way.
So it's good. I got it. Awesome.
No, because he be like, no, he be like, no. And then I was like, when are you going to teach me? Because like I be wanting stuff done at a certain time. And then like, I'd be like, okay, I haven't dropped a video in about a week. I need something. Come on. I'd be like, you're gonna have to teach me how to edit. He'd be like, I'm gonna teach you. But then it's like when I'm trying to see, no, let me finish. Don't get involved. I'm like, okay, when am I ever gonna learn?
Okay, I
But
appreciate. I just needed some research just to make sure because it's a similar situation in this house. But now I get, it, and again, that's why y'all married and
advice.
we not. So
She
good.
definitely
Appreciate
would need
that.
to take your advice and definitely learn because I said this on an interview like a month ago. I interviewed with this guy named Chris Moore, who's a creator, and he was basically asking me advice as far as like with media and everything like that. I said, you guys got to do the groundwork. Okay. Yes, the numbers, yes, the following, that comes with it. But if you don't do the groundwork, I'm telling you, it's not going to pay off in the end. You got to mix a little bit of old school with the new school because
Hmm.
I think the problem with the content creator world is that a lot of them are just wanting to get that one viral moment and then take off from that viral moment. And I think with me and you having broadcast journalism, radio background, we already know what comes with it as far as like the show prep, the researching. It's a lot that comes with it. And people just think, oh, we just sitting down and just talking in the mic. I would love for somebody just like to sit down and just see behind the scenes of like what we do and like what goes into radio journalism. Seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a grind, and the more research, and I think it shows in people's works for the most part.
Oh
And look,
yeah.
there's a million different ways you can cut a cake, but I like my path and your path as well of doing research and getting ready for the moment and things like that. So, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got my last question with you. I really enjoyed this one-on-one. Me, and you have a lot of similarities in what we're doing. So this was a great bonding to really like
Yeah, I
pick
like
your
this
brain.
too. Yeah, and a little
Yeah.
therapy session to her at the end. This is fire. Let's get it.
No, I love it. So you already have checked off a lot of massive list interviews and major events. What are some upcoming projects or dream guests you chasing down next? Like, what are some upcoming, events or interviews? If you could spill the tea with me.
I feel like it's not as exciting because in my opinion it should be everyone's Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
But the big three we'll call it. And I'm talking about Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole, and really just Kendrick. Um, Punk, Cena, and The Rock. I've been very close to be able to have a one-on-one interview with Punk, but it hasn't worked out. Not yet. Cena, I've been fortunate enough to talk to during press conferences,
Oh yeah.
during WWE press conferences. RIP to those. And The Rock as well, actually, at the Elimination Chamber when Cena turned heel, I got to ask him a question. But I'm looking for those sit down interviews. But those will come when the time is right and when preparation meets opportunity. So the more I keep building this up, the better that will be when those will happen, not if those will happen. So those are the three ones. Short term, just quickly, I need to talk to Montez Ford. I'm in the process of getting that. I talked to him at WrestleMania the 2 days before he appeared, and obviously there's some things that happened. No, the Friday before. Wait, hold on. Yep, it was Friday. So before Bianca made the announcement, and of course before they
Yeah.
returned on the Raw after Mania. So short term, I need to have a conversation with Montez, who's been. I'm thankful and fortunate he's been one of the better guests that we've had in the
Okay.
history of Unlikely. Him and Angelo always come correct, always entertaining and engaged. So I need to have another
Mhm.
interview with him because he think he's slick going back to work when his wife's pregnant. That's crazy.
Right.
Man got that off like we back to work, baby. No, you ain't slick, bro.
Nah, for real, for real. Shout out to Montez and Bianca. She my goat too. You see all that back there. But
That's right.
it's crazy. So you did interview my goat. I didn't get to this question, Stone Cold. How was that? How was that interview? Like, and you shot your shot. Did you went on social media? It was like for your birthday. You
Yeah, I've
interviewed.
interviewed him. I threw twos in there because I've been able to talk to him twice, which is crazy. Insane. Yes, I once sent him. There's a lot of people that if you look at the DMs, it's me sending them a message being like, "Yo, when this happens, it's gonna be fire." Just letting
Right.
them know. Speak things into existence. The interviews with Stone Cold were crazy, surreal. Very, very, very surreal. Number one, I hired a production company here in Las Vegas that
Okay.
is freaking phenomenal. So when the moment I told you production is very important, the way things
Yes.
look is very important. So I was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I need the shit to look nice. So that was, but in making it look nice, I'm not used to it looking like 60 minutes and lights and we had cameras each every way. It felt like an interrogation room. I'm getting to talk to Stone Cold. And also because he does, and pardon me, I don't know the specific term. He does racing, but he does racing on the desert.
Oh
Literally,
yeah.
there's a race from Reno to Las Vegas, which is about a 8 hour drive. This race is done in the desert. There is no track, meaning whatever path you want to take, if you want to zigzag through the desert because your team thinks that'll get you to Las Vegas faster. Like it's a completely fascinating. I didn't know anything about this, but that's why the interview happened. So to be respectful of he's not here just to talk about wrestling and the way I had to kind of weave everything in was a learning experience. And to me, I
Yeah.
think it worked out in the end for people that watched the interview because it made it more appreciative at the end when we did get to talk about the wrestling that we did. And that happened both times. And the second time, just him recognizing, remembering. He's very kind. He's super dope. He's
Yes.
collabed on some of the clips that some of the interview clips. Funny enough, WrestleMania 41, I was in a suite and his team and his family was in another suite. And
Okay.
when you're in like the little lobby, yeah, there's lobby with all the fancy stuff. Um, I walked out and one of the people from his racing team saw me and it's like, yo, Adrian. I was like, hey, what's up, guys? And they brought me in. And I walked in, I just wanted to say hi to everyone and just make sure, hey, how you guys doing? Everyone having fun? And I said hi to everybody, but there was one person missing, and it was Steve. Steve wasn't there. And I'm like, where's Steve? And they all looked at me and they're like, he's busy. And then 2 minutes later, he came out to do the attendance when he ran into the lady with the ATV. So I was like, oh, that's tight, because, that's what he was getting ready to do when I went in there. But just incredibly fortunate and incredibly thankful and just happy I live in Las Vegas, where this is what happens in Vegas, where you never know who's going to be in this city at any given time. And I'm glad those 2 interviews happened. Crazy. The GOAT.
That's my man's right there. My goal next is Charlotte.
Yeah, she's pretty fire too.
I want Charlotte so bad. Man,
good, and I feel like at this point in her career, she's more open. So when it happens, it'll be fantastic.
Awesome. Well, again, Adrian, I really had fun with this. I really enjoy you coming on with One-on-One with Sylvia the Siren, and let everybody know where they can find you at on your socials.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Heavyweight Radio. Adrian Unlikely. Is that correct? Listen, folks, I just changed everything. We had to do a rebrand to get all the names right. So let me just double check. Yeah, Unlikely Adrian on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And go subscribe. What is it? Ring the bell, hit the alerts, all that different stuff. Do all that stuff. And if you haven't watched my interview, take a second to watch. And if you like it, enjoy yourself, because we got plenty of it over there. And very fortunate to talk to an amazing guest. You just talked about Stone Cold. We've had Shawn Michaels. We've had Lash Legend, Trick Williams, Bianca, Montez, MJF, Swerve, and the list goes on and on and on, thankfully. So go check it out. Have some fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. I enjoyed this.
Of course. Have me back. Let's go. We got more time. Have me back again.
I will have you back again. Definitely, I'm going to have you back.
You sound the siren. Get it pumped like Big Papa. Break them off proper. Thugonomics, no doctor. Y'all don't put in work, but you talk enough, and the talk is tough. Who your favorite part? We'll chalk it up. Spit an apple in your face like Carlito, the cannon on. I get to twitching like Braun Breaker, the damage on. I can let the trigger go off and trade your boss, and then you dropping down the card, the price of a loss. You shut it down early, blessing. I'm more Monday Night Raw attrition. I go to 11. My thoughts are sinister. Go run to the minister. Okay. You ain't getting the push, better go get your gimmick up. I black out like the Ministry of Darkness. Cartridge hit your cartilage. You jonesing around until a steel chair hit your chest. You should be weird, cause I'm nice with the tables like Carolina X. It's lovely like Laveau, that if you ain't Beyond the Bell podcast, you gots to go, yeah. Beyond the Bell podcast, like, comment, subscribe, stop playing, and hit that notification bell. Cheat.